Hello, everyone. Today we will talk in more detail about the mystery of pigeon eye. However, the pigeon world asks itself the same questions that unfortunately remain unanswered. What do we look for above all in the eye of a pigeon? Which eye color is more suitable for mating our breeders? How to select a crack pigeon? We will try to dissect the subject for you. There is no one who, with a pigeon in hand, can name all the qualities it has by looking at its eye. It is a utopia. But there are fanciers who can read more with a pigeon's eye. If you ask them, "What do you see?" you get 1,001 different answers, and if you think I'm going to write and unravel the pigeon eye mystery in this chapter, then you're wrong. The first thing we notice when looking at a pigeon's eyes without the use of a magnifying glass is the pupil. The pupil is nothing more than the opening of the colored iris, and the dark black color is the retina of the eye seen through. The second thing we notice on the pigeon's eye is the iris. You can see all the different shades of color in the circle that lies between the pupil and the cornea, which represents the upper surface of the eye and continues below the eyelids. The outer edge of the iris is made up of a distinct thin black circle, called Vermeer's circle. When talking about the color of the pigeon's eye, it refers to the color of the iris. This is due to the colored particles distributed in the tissue of the iris. Small blood vessels play almost no role in the color of the eye. The color of the eyes in the carrier pigeon is extremely varied: white eye, yellow eye, brown eye, many varieties which depend on the color and quantity of the colored pigments. The circle of correlation, or the circle of rapport, or the circle of recognition. All these designations show how much pigeon fanciers have established a correlation between the presence of this circle and the value of the pigeon. This theory of the eye appeared at the beginning of this century. There are still many gullible pigeon fanciers who remain convinced of the veracity of this theory. Strangely, there are still many English people who adhere to this theory, and it is not uncommon to see them sorting pigeons armed with a magnifying glass. The theory goes that some eye colors are better for breeding, others for shows. We can also, still thanks to this theory, recognize the best breeders and the best racers, select and mate. With much sass, it was asserted that the reproductive value could be read in the aspect of the circle of correlation and in the colored structure of the iris. However, the eye theory is absurd and contradicts practice. First, it must be said that the correlation circle is present in all pigeons, but in some it is not visible to the naked eye in its entirety during a superficial examination because, quite simply, it can happen that there is too little contrast. Second, because there are good and bad carrier pigeons in all eye colors, there is also no reason to put specific eye colors together. So the color of the eyes and the presence, not always distinct, of the circle of correlation do not matter in the fact of seeing well, reproducing well, or flying well. For those who still have some doubts, I advise them to go and look at the photographs of the eyes of a whole series of cracks on the site of the racing pigeon auction organized by Pipa. A pigeon's head should radiate personality. He must have charisma, which is a mixture of intelligence, willpower, experience, and things like wisdom. It takes years of experience to be able to determine this accurately. You should know that stupid pigeons more easily produce stupid pigeons, while intelligent pigeons will give birth to intelligent pigeons. How can we learn to see that and then verify that our personal taste for pigeon eyes is correct? If you visit a breeder who specializes in speed competitions, you will notice that it is mostly pigeons with eyes with homogeneous colors that are at the front. And if you then enter a loft that plays the distance, you will see eyes completely different, those that are richly colored with an abundance of pigment. The eye as a whole gives an indication of the natural form of a pigeon, of its vitality, which is the basis of its athletic ability. I strongly favor eyes which, every day of the year, are colored and pigmented with the same intensity. This regularity of color and pigmentation indicates a very high natural vitality. This natural vitality belongs to a type of pigeons that, like money, can be kept in the bank because they are reliable. They are very easy to get in and stay in shape. Pigeon legend Pete de Weird, with much respect in the pigeon world, once made the following statement: "We are not interested in small pupils as such, but in the factors which causes them as. These small ones are closely related to the will." When you ask some of the big names in the pigeon sport their opinion, men like Jan Ertz, Pete de Weird, and John Lambrechts, the answer is always that they like the color of the eye, an opinion that is based on years of intensive research. They preferred a richly colored eye. They weren't saying that everything is subject to eye color, but a good color is a positive sign. When you ask some of the big names in the pigeon sport their opinion, men like Pete de Weird, the answer is always that they like the color of the eye, an opinion that is based on years of intensive research. They preferred a richly colored eye. They weren't saying that everything is subject to eye color, but a good color is a positive sign. We all know that racing pigeons are competition animals, not luxury animals. Their performance depends on many factors. To name a few: good orientation skills, perfect work of the sense organs, muscles, all internal organs like the heart, lungs, etc., moral qualities like the will. It is therefore not possible that success in competitions is dependent on the same hereditary factors, genes, which determine a particular color of the iris or of the feathers. A similar reasoning is also valid for other morphological characteristics such as structure of the wing and the strike. Should come as no surprise, therefore, that the hereditary transmission of a whole series of useful characteristics in the carrier pigeon takes place in a less obvious way than in the case of the color of the feathers. It is even much more complex than the heredity of the productive traits of a dairy cow, of a laying hen, or of the ability to run of a horse. There is no alternative. In the case of racing pigeons, a constant selection based on the results in the races remains obligatory. Fanciers often ask the question, can we assess the value of a pigeon by looking at its eyes? My answer to this question is reserved. To conclude, the quality of a pigeon is recognized by its origin, its flexibility, its lightness, its good wing. Added to this is the work of the pigeon fancier.